Hi, how are you? My name is Judy Njogu, and if you're new here in my channel, welcome. And you've been here and you've subscribed, I'm very happy that you are here. And today I have some visitors in my house, some lovely, beautiful girls that are filming me. You'll see them later. So I'll also let them come and introduce themselves, and we will figure out later what we are all about and what we're doing. I am a 47-year-old mom who has, oh sorry, I'm not 47, I am 46. I don't know why I keep saying I'm 47. Maybe it's hanging around people who are 47. I have a daughter who is a grown-up. Kate, are you 27 or 28? She'll tell you. And then there is Ryan, who is 13, and I'm just doing life, and my channel is about my life, actually, like what I do every day, what I'm experiencing. So every day there's something new to learn, and this is my life.
My name is Lorna. I am 47 years old. I'm not a content creator, but what happens is I've been hanging around many of them. And what happens is once in a while I get pulled into videos, I get pulled into pictures, and I found myself there. And I've been very shy all along. But lately, because of hanging around these two ladies and many more, I find myself behind or in front of the camera. So I'm 47 years old. I'm the friend that Judy talks about all the time, or she was saying 47 because of me, 1 year older than her. Today we are going to sit with Marie, who is 27. That makes her 20 years younger than me. So what we want to do is have a discussion around our life, growing up. Now that I'm 47, you can imagine that's a whole 20 years difference, and her growing up right now. And we see what are the goods, the bads, the disparities, and what is it that we can also learn from them, because sometimes we tend to think because we are so old, we cannot learn anything from anybody who's younger than us. And she says she want to listen to what we have to say at 47 years old. So let's see how this goes. Karibuni.
Hi guys, my name is Marie. I create content around lifestyle and travel, and today I'm meeting two very beautiful ladies that I really look up to, and we're going to be having discussions about life, and I have a couple of questions that I need to ask them and just get their opinions, because actually I'm 26. I'm turning 27 in I'm turning 27 in September. That's like in a month or two. And first of all, let me apologize to everyone that I called old at 30 when I was 25. So with the pressures of turning 30, I just needed to ask a few things, get ready for, that so-called big age, and know if I'm in the right direction in terms of life, my career, my content creation journey, and everything in between. So welcome to the video. Hi guys. So welcome to the video. My name is Marie, as I've already said, and
I'm Judy Njogu,
And Lorna Oshira.
Yeah, so today we are going to have sort of a trip down memory lane with the girls, and we are going to talk about, life generally. So to just kick off, I'm going to pose a question to the ladies, and I'm going to ask them to just briefly take us through the highlights of your 30s. Lorna.
Okay. 30s. Why did you start with 30s?
Yeah, not 20s.
No, not 20.
Oh, why not 20s? Because I'm in the late 20s,
Yeah.
and what is giving me pressure is this turning 30. People take 30, the turning into 30 as a big milestone in life. Oh, when you turn 30, you need to have done this, you need to have done that.
Yeah.
But things are changing.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I thought let's start from 30s. We can come back maybe to 20s, and then we go to 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, what I would say is all along my life, I have always been self-aware. I knew what I want, and I had kind of an idea of what I want to do in life. So I knew my first 20 years is school. You have to do your school, get your grades, and focusing on what is it that I want to do in life. In my 20s, I knew I have to go to school and get a job and start working. And in my 30s, I knew now I need to settle. Settle in terms of the money that I have always made was more of exploring the world, traveling, buying things I want. But by the time I'm approaching 30 now, I knew I need to settle down. Settle down in terms of investment, settle down in terms of family, settle down in terms of who do I want to be from now on a serious note. And settling down is not just who do I want to be, but once I'm done with corporate life, because after 30, by the time you're getting to 40, you start getting, the itch to get out of corporate life. And then also, by the time you're getting to 40, 45, ageism starts coming in, and you don't want to be employed depending on the kind of a person you are. So I knew my 30s, I have 10 years to have an idea what is it that I want to do, and I want to do it for my future and for my retirement. That's what happened.
That's quite interesting because I find Lorna's life is very different from mine. So you're very lucky to have at least two people who have lived very differently. I think I've said this several times on my videos, and I think everybody knows by now that I got kids when I was 18. So for me, I didn't have a chance of making separate decisions, like different decisions in my life, because there's a child, and a child is not something you can keep on the side. So this is where I am at. So it's like I skipped a part of my life to start motherhood. So I didn't have a time to plan, like I need family, I need to study more, I need all that. Now started coming back later. Yeah.
Interesting. So generally we are gonna get two different perspectives. So how lucky can we possibly be? Yeah, so that is what we are gonna start with. So the first question about memory lane is, what is the one thing that you can recall that you, if you think about your 30s, you're like, okay, I remember this happened in my 30s, and that is one of the biggest things that happened for me.
For me, I'll say is getting my beautiful daughter. I knew in my 20s, I knew I was not going to get a baby. I didn't want to get into marriage or anything, any serious relationship. So I got my child at 31, and that was the beautifulest thing that has ever happened to me. Because what happens is it stops being about you and about this other beautiful creature or beautiful things, that thing that you have made. And for the next, I think all my life until now, my life just revolves around her. Anything I do, I have to think about it. Even Judy knows, anywhere I go, if we go for lunch, we go for dinner, I have to order something for her. I have to call her and ask her, what do you want? Have you eaten? If we are cooking, she loves cooking. And so everything I do revolves around her. Even the kind of work and the kind of a job that I'm going to get, it's all about her. Because at the end of the day, I have to think, how does this affect her? Then if it's kind of an investment, of course, now any investment I'm making, it's for her, it's not for me.
Exactly.
Yeah, everything revolves around her. So that's what totally changes your life. And for me, it was the biggest thing that ever happened in my life. And I love it, and I loved it, I love it.
I think this goes to prove that once you have children, everything changes. It doesn't matter at what point you are in life. Because for me, it happened at 18, and for her later at 31. But what I know is that your life changes. It's all about that child. And at some point in my life, because I was also very young, I tried to detach myself from being a mother and just be a girl, and that didn't turn out well, and actually it affected Kate up to date. And some things she remembers, because I would leave her with maybe my mom or a friend, and that affected her life up to date. So that only shows that once you have a child, your life should and will always revolve around your child. So my advice is, get a child when you are ready, and you can take care of them, and you'll be there for them, especially emotionally and financially. So if you can manage to do that, very good. And at least for you now, you're more enlightened, you've seen life differently than us. For me, I didn't know much. I didn't know about contraceptives, I didn't know about anything. So it happened, but when it happens, it shows you that this is your life. Your child is your life. Yeah.
So if I am hearing you guys correctly, your priorities sort of shifted with the getting of a kid in the picture. So how would you say that your priorities changed from your 20s into your 30s? Because now we'll have a different sort of priority changes for you, having gotten your kids earlier, and for you more of later. So how did your priority change from your 20s to your 30s?
So in 20s, I was just living through life personally, like life, trying to study, and there's a child, you have to take care of them, and then money was not easy, because if you don't have proper education, you have to get it. So I was trying to get proper education and at least get some papers, and then at least try to get a good job. So it was like a rat race for me. And then when I reached 30, I was comfortable.
Okay.
I had bought my first car. I was living in a nice apartment I could afford, and I was taking my child to a good school, like good in those standards, and I was ready for another child. And that is when I got Ryan. I got him at 33 because I was very sure that I don't want to have a child after 35. So when I got Ryan, it was because I'm ready to have this child, mentally, financially. Maybe I was someone I expected to go the journey with me, but even if that didn't happen, which did happen, I was ready to bring up the child myself, like, because I'd seen how life is. So this one I made, it was a very informed decision getting Ryan. Like, I was ready for that. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, for me, 20s was all about finish school early, and I got into work in my early 22, and my job involved a lot of travel. So I really enjoyed my 20s all over the world. Doing, for the first my 20s, all of it was all about travel until about 28, I think 28, 27 is when I thought, now I really need just to come, ground and get a corporate office job where I don't need to travel a lot. And the reason why I made that decision is because I knew I want to get a child, and I don't want to get a child when I'm doing all this travel. But unfortunately, I still traveled when I got my child. And my 20s was finish school is enjoying. I enjoyed my life. I cannot hold that. I really enjoyed my life. I enjoyed being young, traveling, dating, going out, meeting friends, doing all kind of things. I really enjoyed my 20s. And what I like is the fact that I did that. So when you come into your 30s, when you know that now it's about settling down and building your future, I didn't crave the going out and doing all that. So that also put me in a different space, because you find people sometimes even from early 30s and to 35, they're still going out, they're still clubbing, and they're still doing that. And for me, I got tired of it. So I was more of a homebody and more concentrating on bringing up my child and thinking of what kind of investments or how am I going to change my jobs, what is it that I'm going to do to consolidate my future more. And by the time my child came, I knew, as I said, I had done everything, so it was just mellow down and take care of my child. Made sure that I'm there for all the school games, I'm there for all
You're a present
yes,
mom.
present mom in each and every, unless by then probably I'm out, that you will need time out miss.
Interesting. So what I'm hearing is from when you're transitioning maybe from your 20s to 30s, there's this thing coming up of now you want to focus on your career. That is what I'm getting from both of you, that is constant, is the career focus and the settling down. So first of all, let's start with the career. Now, a lot has been discussed, of course, about jobs, coming from uni, getting into the job market, but I feel like we have not really talked about when to pivot, when to quit, the changes. Because, for example, for me, I'm 27 right now. I went to school. I did my degree in Bachelor's of Commerce. I did a major in finance. I did a minor in human resource. Then I did my CPA, and then I'm currently doing my master's in strategic management. So what happens is, I've gone to school, I've done this accounting, back then, of course, most of our parents, they were like, you need to become an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, these white collar jobs.
So that was not your decision to do?
It was, I feel like it was, because I really wanted to, first of all, please my parents, but also I thought this is what people do. I didn't really, like right now I'm doing travel as a job. I didn't think this is a possibility. It's like I was listening to an interview Phil Karanja did recently with Lynn Ngugi, and then he was talking about he was not a very strong student when he was in school, so he did not perform very well in his KCSE. I think he said he got something like a C, if I'm not wrong, and he comes from a background, he has, I think, 4 sisters, if I'm not wrong, and all the sisters were A students above average, and then he was the only one who was sort of a weak student. And then he says he lost his dad around when he was 15, so by the time he's finishing now Form 4, it's his mom who is there, and he's saying now, you know, the fact that he did not perform well was his biggest, you know, savior, because now he couldn't be, you know, taken into one career, or go and do accounting, go and do law. No, they had to come back and ask him, what do you want to do? You know, so he said he wanted to do film, which is now they took him to the school. And then he talks about like people don't really see this people like film directors or film creators back
like
then.
it's a serious
Yeah,
career.
they didn't take it seriously. First of all, because there were no people who are seeming to have succeeded having done that line of work. No one was showing that this also is something you can do, you can succeed in this, you can earn big money from this. So there were no examples to look up to. So even the parents, they cannot tell you, okay, do film. They're not seeing anyone in film who is actually making it. So he's even encouraging people in this content creation, in filmmaking, in these different careers, show us that there's success in this, so that even the parents of now, even us when we are parents, we can be able to push our children in areas that they're interested in, you know. So because if we see people actually making it in, you know, real estate, you can tell your daughter, do real estate. You see Judy's doing real estate and she's doing well, you know. So yeah, so what I mean to ask is, first of all, is when do you know it's time to quit your job? Let's start with you.
Okay, so for me, what I knew is, as I said earlier on, all along I knew what kind of a life I want to. I moved out when I was 19. I had my own little house. I had everything, a small TV, a carpet, and I have always known what I want to, and whatever I wanted to be was a success. It did not have a category of what kind of success I want, but I knew that I was going to be. And more of it came from my older sister, who I saw do a lot with the little that she had. And because I grew under her and I saw what kind of focus she had, I got into those footsteps. So I knew, as I said earlier on, my first 20 years is school, and then my second, in my 20s, is finish school, get a job. And the job I wanted a job where I really want to travel, because I knew later on in life, if I get a family, it's the time to get a family, I don't want a job that's going to take me away. And I did a lot of that. So by the time I was getting to 27, 28 years old, I knew now I'm getting into my second phase. And my second phase is, I would want to settle down. Settling down comes with a family. Coming with a family means that you need to start investing, because you have to start thinking about the future of your family and your future to need to start consolidating. So all along I knew, and how I do my life is in 10 years kind of long-term, medium-term and long-term kind of planning. So I knew my first 20 years is school, go into first early, finish school, get a good job, travel the world, do all the things, enjoy my life. And then into my 30s, is start now settling down, and settling down is in all aspects. Aspects of work, do I still want to continue traveling the world, or I want a job which is corporate and it kind of ground me? And then after that, I knew a family is going to come in, and as the family comes, so all these are entwined, because I'm going to do all this concurrently. So by the time I'm getting and itching off to 40s, I've done the career path, the career session, I know what I want, I have gauged the world and the corporate world, and I know where I want to go. Then from there on, when I get into my 40s, it's another ball game altogether. That's how I plan my life, and that's how I look at it. Different people look at life differently. For me, it's every 10 years. So even now in my 40s, there's a plan that I have,
like
and
a
I
strategic
pray
plan.
it is. So in my 40s, I know there's what I needed to do, and now I'm 47. I have another 3 years to finish 2, 3, 4, 5 things before I hit my 50. And then again, what I have learned is you don't have to beat yourself down if things don't happen. I believe everything happens for a reason, and if you just still and look back and look forward, you always see there's always a silver lining in everything. So even if you miss your mark with 2, 3, 4 years, as long as you're focused and you know what you want to do, it always happens.
I think in essence what you're saying is, and we can all agree, is that it's very important to plan. Like there's a saying that goes, if you don't
Failure to plan.
failure to plan is
planning to fail.
There's something. There's another.
There's
one.
something about if you are unable to plan, it's like you're already planning to fail.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's very important to plan if you have that chance. But in case your plan doesn't work, you should not beat yourself so much about it.
Yeah.
And you can always brush yourself off and try again and look at things differently. Yeah.
So, essentially, then, in one maybe sentence, especially Lorna, you've recently left a job. How would you say you knew it was time for you to leave this job?
So, this is not my first time to leave a job. I always knew when it's time to leave. So usually what I'll do, it's always like a phase. You know, the first phase is a new job has come in. You wanted that job. So there's something you wanted out of that job. The first 1-2 years is challenging and settling in and, you know, performing and delivering what you've been mandated to do. But the second year for me, what will happen is I start learning the job, and if there's no leeway for me to grow, I start getting restless. And once I start getting restless, you cannot stop me. So I'm always looking out for the next. So my earlier job, the one I talk about where I used to travel a lot, that's the same thing happened. By the time I walked in, I was doing the interview, I had already figured out the roles and which ranks I'm going to get to. And by the time I get to this rank, I'm going to get out of here because there's nowhere else I can go.
You can't grow.
And that is, I couldn't grow. I couldn't grow past where I was. So, and it was time for me to get out. And I got out without another job. That's how serious I am when I decide I am done. I got out, jumped out without
Even
a
without
job.
like a fallback plan.
No fallback plan.
Wow.
Because I knew by August of 2012, that's when I left, I'm going to leave. And when August came, luckily it came with a package for voluntary retirement, and I took that. So that gave me the cushioning for me to ride on as I'm looking for the next job. So the next 3 months, I got into another job, and I worked where I was employed in the finance industry, and I did it for about 5-6 years, and by then I got bored.
You were done.
And I jumped out.
Is a lot.
It is a lot.
In fact, 5 I tried.
Yeah.
And why I stayed there for 5 years is I really enjoyed, because I came from a totally different industry. So this is new finance, and I'm learning a lot, and it was amazing, and it was a beautiful job. I enjoyed myself.
Meaning you didn't study finance in
No,
school?
I did not. That's how versatile I am.
Wow.
I did not do
Wow.
finance.
Go you.
Yes.
I know, yeah. I know.
We went to finance, but we were struggling.
I did not do finance, but I found myself in the banking industry, and I worked there for 5 years, and I think I really, really enjoyed it. And that's why I stayed longer. But it got to a point then I was like to myself, okay,
You're done.
Okay, what's
and
next?
I think also what made me jump out is I also did my master's. So once you do your master's, your horizon and your eyes, and then once you're in
Everything
that
opens
class,
up.
Yeah.
the kind of people that you meet, and I also did Women in Leadership. There's a course that's offered at Strathmore Business School. When I did that is when wow. And I knew, Lorna, you're not going to continue sitting here. And I jumped out. Yep.
So for me, I'm thinking I did sales and marketing, and I did a bit of public relations because it was just normal college, and I also did it's called what PR. Yeah, so I'm basically a marketer, like naturally born. So I worked with a company called Wines of the World. I was a marketer, like we used to sell wines. If you talk to me about almost all the wines I know. And then from there I moved to, there was an advertising company, it was called Advantage Multimedia. I worked there I think for like 2 years, but then I was not seeing myself going any forward other than just being a secretary or whatever. I was like, I need to get out there and see what's happening. So I started selling cars. So I worked for a company called Carmax and Residual Motors, but each company I said, GG Motors 3 years, 3 years, 3 years. And usually for me, by the 3rd year, I'm like, am I getting more than I was getting? And sometimes, even if you're getting more, you're like, have you advanced?
Yeah.
What's there? What's the other challenge? So selling cars, I wondered what next. So I applied for a job in real estate. I have no real estate background, nothing other than marketing and everything. But they were like zero. Zero. Right now, I'm a property
And the way
manager.
you sell this property, you're like, oh.
Right now, I'm a property manager. A good one at that. Yeah, even if I say so myself.
Do say so herself.
Yeah, with a good company. And why I liked this company is because they have flexible hours. So I'm a consultant. I'm not employed 24 hours. I don't have to be there. I say 24 hours because sometimes it feels like 24 hours. I don't have to be there from 8 to 5. So I can still do my thing. I'm able to do my videos. Like I can travel. Like that's why you find I'm working and yet I can do a lot of filming. It's because of that work experience. And I think it came in at a very good time because I still needed to be around Ryan a lot, and I also needed to do my own thing and also enjoy my space. You understand? Yeah.
Okay, so what I've gotten from you guys is there's two important things. There's the learning aspect and there's the growth aspect.
Yeah.
So personally, even for me, I've always felt if for a job to actually be the it job for me, I have to be learning and earning. Either two of the things are happening,
You always
or
have
at
to
least
learn.
one. If it's none of these two things, then it's unacceptable. That's when you know it's time to quit. You're not learning, you're not earning. So if we can summarize this career conversation, we can say, when do you quit? When you're not learning anything, when you're not growing, or your earnings are not growing. So you need to learn and you need to earn. Yeah, so moving on to the next thing is I've heard you speaking of investment. So when is the right time to start investing?
Knowing what I know right now, I should have started investing in my 20s as early as possible. As early as possible. Even when you're 18 in high school, if there's a side
How
hustle.
do you start though?
That's why we're saying, knowing what I know now, I should have. Remember, I started living by myself at 19. So if I had the money to
live by yourself.
to live by myself, I could have thought of setting apart or aside some little money that could have invested. And it didn't have to be a major investment. It didn't have to be a house. It didn't have to be land. Money markets. Go into the money market. Go into something like old mutual, the schemes and those, and then keep your money. And for me, how it helped is actually when I was in my 20s, I was earning some good money. So what I did, because you're 20 and you're 19, you're 25, you're successful. Why am I buying land right now? What am I going to do with it? Why am I investing?
Exactly.
So luckily for me, what I did the money markets and I put the funds. I can't remember what they're called. So you just put money. So eventually later on in life, this money comes to help you. So that's what I would say for young people, because you're always having that mindset of why am I buying land? Why am I buying a house? But right now, what I can tell anyone young out there, start investing. There's a lot of developers who are coming up with studio houses which are like 3 million. I mean, if you have that kind of money right now, why don't you buy a studio house somewhere, start there, and that studio is going to earn you about 30,000 shillings per month, which you put somewhere. Because what will happen is by the time now you get your 30s and 40s, your finances start getting distributed to so many things. So sometimes, depending on how much you're earning and how much you're making, investment starts becoming a challenge. And it becomes a challenge because what will happen is, depending on what time you get your child, school fees starts coming in. When you're young, they're just going to kindergarten, I don't know what. So the school fees is not as big of a burden as they grow up. So by the time they're growing up, you're looking at $500,000 as school fees. As they continue the year 1, year 2, school fees goes up. By the time you're getting to university right now, if you want your child to go to we are talking about millions. So if you don't start those kind of funds when you're young and when you have that money, then when it comes to the age where you need to buy school fees for your children, you start struggling. And that's why you find that a lot of your finances are divided all over the place. You're not able to live, number one, the kind of lifestyle that you want. You're not able to provide your children the kind of lifestyle that you want. So knowing what I know right now, the money I had in my 20s, I would have done better. But then again, as I say, I don't regret because I really enjoyed my youth. So if you have somebody who you look up to, somebody who can give you sound advice, and if you're willing to listen as you're young, because
another thing we need to know, you need to know, is life will never, you always enjoy life. Depending on which phase you are in life, there are different aspects of enjoying life. So sometimes we have this mental, idea that life has to be, eaten with a big spoon in your 20s. But you always eat life in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. In fact, the older you are, the better it is, the more enjoyable it is. Because even the kind of friendships that you have when you're older, they're more solid. When you're young, the kind of friendships you have are impressionable. You want to impress, you want to show, you want to live like the Joneses. So you end up wasting a lot of time, a lot of money. But the older you get, you just start narrowing down, and you find yourself, like, for me, I think I have only 5 friends. And 5 friends who bring different aspects into my life. So that way, I'm able to save, I'm able to do the things that I want to do in investing. It's a bit harder now than it could have been. So for you, start investing now.
Now?
Yes. It's never late. It's never late, but the earlier you start, the better.
So I know a lot of people will look at this video with frowning face because where we are as a country right now, there's so many people who are even in their 30s who don't have a job. What she's trying to say is, when you start earning. She started earning at 18, 19. Not everybody starts at that age. Some people start earning way later. But as soon as you start earning, keep some money on the side. I started investing very late because my money was going all over. Either I'm studying, Kate is studying. There's so much that was ongoing. But when I got at least listening, because right now at least you can listen to podcasts and all that, and watch a lot of journals and all that, I was able to now start saving. Not as much, but I started saving. So it doesn't matter what age you are at or in your career. No, as long as you're earning, in short. As long as you're earning,
aside.
Please just put some money on the side.
I just remembered some people say, I put money aside for a rainy day. The next day it starts
it's raining and then here I am. But if you get serious, you have to focus and you have to, most of the nice things don't come easy. You really have to put yourself out there. You have to take the bitter pill. You can't be going partying all the time. That money you can save somewhere. Because some people will say like, oh, it's my life, you only live once. You might live to 90 or 100, then what will you be saying? So just put aside some money for a rainy day, but let it not rain tomorrow. Then again, there's something you've mentioned about that you have 5 friends. It's weird because we had that discussion yesterday with my daughter, Kate. Kate, we always have this every day we have to have a video conversation with Kate. It doesn't matter what time. Sometimes you just take videos and look at each other. You're like, oh, she's fine. So yesterday we got deep into discussion about friends, because she's in us, guys your age, your friendship, as she says, is very different, and it's very erratic because you're at a very different place in life, and the other one, you're not in the same mindset. Like for her and me, we like almost the same thing, we're experiencing almost the same things, but maybe you'll get married, or maybe you decide you don't want to talk to people, you've gone out of the country, like your paths are very different.
So people my age,
exactly,
it can be anywhere. Actually, that's what I'm experiencing. Like half of my friends are married with kids, half of my friends are traveling the world, out every night.
So even when you get a chance to sit down and talk, your conversation is very different, and they will not understand you. You will not understand them because their life is different. So at our age, it's easier to make meaningful friendships than your age. So I was telling Kate, do not hold on to it. If something is not working and you put yourself out there and it was working then, and right now it's not working for you, let it go. I've told that even to my son, who is 13. I'm like, son, if you're no longer friends with someone you thought was your best friend, you're 13. Where I am at right now, I have friends I've gone through in life, and when it stops being a friendship, when it stops being happy for me and even happy for them, when you're not having the same conversation, when it becomes like push and pull, I'm like, you know what, it's not a must. If we are not enjoying each other's company, because that's what I want, if you're not enjoying a conversation, if you can't sit and I can't come to your house and we just sit and look at each other just for a while, if you can't respect boundaries, that's it. I'll get friends at 50 or 60. It's not a must I hold on to it, as long as it's working for me. So what you're saying about 5, you're saying that you only need 5 friends in your life. So she was like, Judy, how many friends do you have? I was like, I'll answer you that another day. I'll answer you another day. But I will look at my life and say, like, I just need like 5 most important people in my life, and they all don't have to have the same view of life as you do.
In fact,
Because you also want to experience and learn different things.
yeah.
You know.
And then another thing you learn with age as you're growing, having a very good friend is not spending time with them all the time. I have one very good friend. We have known each other since we were 13 years old. And
Wow.
we can finish
That's
6 months.
The whole of your life.
Yes,
you know each
we
other.
can go 6 months, we have not seen each other physically.
And when you meet,
But when we meet, it's like
And you talk.
Time.
You talk like
Yes.
often.
we talk often. Actually, I think I talk to Judy more than I talk to her. But when we are together, it's like
you are there. You
No
are there.
time
You've
has
always been
passed.
together.
and that's a kind of a friend who I know through thick and thin.
Yeah.
Can always be there.
Therefore,
That's a person who will always be there. And that's what I was telling you. So relationship stops being about what can you do for me. It's never about what can you do for me, but knowing that if any ever thing happened, you can always count on that person. That person can be out in the US and just calls me and tells me, Lorna, I need this and this done. Do you know, I don't even ask 2 or 3 questions. I just drop what I'm doing and I do. If her kids need to be picked up across town, or she's stuck, Lorna, what do we do? I stopped what I'm doing and I go. I'll give you an example. I was away, and my daughter's birthday was in April, and I'm sure I'm not going to be there. Do you know, so I called her. I told her, birthday is coming up. Please know you're the one who's taking charge of that.
The village. They're the village.
Yes,
she's
and
your
I
village.
left it at that.
She is your village.
I left it at that. She understands my daughter very well. She knows what she went and shopped. She did the balloons. She did the cake. She did. You know, those kind of friends who, and they don't look back to ask, I did this for you, what have you done for me? It's never about what have you done for me or what can you do for me. It's a totally different aspect of friendship as you grow up.